So I did a video a couple of days ago called something about the matriarchy. You can find it right here. Anyway, in that video, I was very dissatisfied with it because when I was doing it, or rather before I did it, I had written out these notes, these bullet points as to what I wanted to talk about, the argument I wanted to make. You see, in these videos that I do, it's not that I write out a full-on script. What I do is usually I map out a few bullet points, between half a dozen and a dozen of the things I want to hit in the video. And then, I sort of like freestyle, and just improvise what I want to say during the course of the video in a way that seems natural. I actually once did script a video, and it came across as awkward and forced because, what seems pleasing to the eye when you read it and the way it sounds when spoken aloud, it's very different sometimes. So I found it just easier to just improvise, but have these bullet points beforehand, have it prepared. But what happened on this matriarchy video, see, I was so hot under the collar, right? I was just so pissed off about the subject matter that, I spurged out. I lost my shit, right? And this happens. This happens to me a lot when I feel very strongly about something, when I feel very passionately about something. Or when I've noticed that it happens to me, I start to spurg out when I realize that the person I'm speaking to is either dishonest or stupid or is just plain wrong, and it's obvious to me at least that they're wrong, and so therefore I assume that it ought to be obvious to everybody else around that they're wrong, right? It's a defect I have. It's a defect. I've thought long and hard as to why I do my videos. What exactly am I trying to achieve with these videos? And ultimately it's self-improvement, see? Because this is a hobby for me. And sometimes it's a very fruitful hobby and sometimes a very frustrating hobby. But even when it's been most frustrating, I've tried to figure out why am I sticking with it? Because I do stick with it. And I realize that ultimately there are some things about myself that I want to improve. About myself and just, how could I put it? See, along the way, I improve my craft. I do things a little better. Cool shots, new techniques. I start doing different things that make the videos more interesting. And that evolution, that improvement in the videos that I'm making, I find that so satisfying, It's like when you're doing woodworking and you start at first and you're just doing, basic woodworking and it's kind of crappy, right? And you're doing basic woodworking, but as you get better at it, the pieces that you make turn out to be nicer, better made with more craft. And I love that process. I love that process of just improving my videos and integrating new techniques and new shots and new ways of doing something. It just, it's satisfying. But see, the craft of what I'm doing, of this hobby of making videos, see, it's not an end in itself. I feel that every hobby or every activity that I'm involved in, it should in some ways be about self-improvement. It should be about building a better self. You know what I mean? Just being better. I don't know if that sounds pompous or not. I'm sure it does, but fuck it. Look, see, one of the problems that I have as a man is that in personal confrontations, right, when I'm, face to face with somebody, I sometimes think too fast. I think ahead, too many steps ahead, instead of paying attention to the moment, to just focus on the moment and just having a calm and measured interaction. But sometimes my head just skips forward because I hear what a guy is telling me, and then I realize that from what he's telling me now, he's going to say this, and that. And so I just skip ahead instead of focusing on what's happening right this second, right? And it's a flaw I have. Now, In polite society, you don't really notice this flaw, because in polite society we have so many, how could I put it? We have so many limitations on our behavior. Well, that's why they call it polite society now, isn't it? We have all of these limitations, and so because of these limitations, you're not, this flaw of mine isn't often revealed. It's not revealed to me. I mean, I don't really care about other people. It's important to me that I control this flaw, that I improve this flaw, because I don't want to be beholden to this flaw. It's the reason that my streams, whenever I stream, whenever I wind up arguing with somebody, I always come out the worse for it, right? I spurg out. I spurg out because often as not the person that I'm speaking to is either being, grossly disingenuous, or is just flat out stupid, or is just flat out wrong. And because of this, I get wound up. I get wound up and I don't calm down, pull back. And here's something else too. See, it turns out that when you get older, you start to realize that your junior high school days are never going to get repeated. And so for somebody like me, that's actually a benefit. See, in junior high, you remember junior high, right? You were in the 5th grade or the 6th grade or whatever the fuck, and you'd fling these insults at one another. You'd fling shit at your quote unquote enemy, who was just some classmate that you didn't like for whatever the fuck reason, right? And you'd fling shit at him and whatever, but then you got into high school and then college and then work life, and as you grew older, you stopped flinging shit at the people you disliked, because as you get older, you have this carapace of politeness, and it prevents you from reaching into your id and letting it out and letting your id run riot, right? You can't do that. But here's the thing. You can online, and you can on streams, on the internet, in this particular milieu that I'm involved in, and that in the sense that if you're watching me, you're probably involved in too. See, you can see that. You can relive your junior high school days on a stream, right? Which is weird, and which is really fun and really interesting. And so that's why I do streams. That's why I do streams, and that's why I get into these battles with these randos, right? Getting into fights, getting into scrapes, getting into these like autistic arguments that go absolutely nowhere and are, in a very real sense, pointless. I mean, what exactly is the point of like winning one of these arguments? What is there to be won? There's nothing to be won. It's just an argument with a fucking idiot who's wrong or disingenuous or just trying to fuck with you, right? But to me, what I'm trying to do, I realize now, is I'm trying to improve myself. I go into these skirmishes, these like little combat events, and there's a reason they're called internet blood sports. And every time I'm trying to improve my performance. Every time I'm trying not to spurg out. And it's hard. And sometimes when I'm caught unprepared, sometimes when I'm caught by surprise, I really get my ass handed to me. And it's happened a few times. And it's not pleasant. But precisely because it's so unpleasant that I kind of relish it. Because you see, what happens to you, especially if things go well in your life, you start to get really, really comfortable. You start to get really, really comfortable, and you don't even notice that you start to get soft. You start to get soft, and you start to sort of like grow weak. Yeah. You start to get weak. You start to get, flabby. Flabby around the middle. Yeah. Because see, as you get older and more comfortable and more established in your life, you have fewer and fewer opportunities to fight. You have less need to fight because you're successful. See, the man you were at 25, 30, 35, 40, that guy who, made it, quote unquote, who was successful, who achieved the goals, the money, the whatever that was necessary for you as a 50-year-old man to live comfortably, well, that man is in your past. And the 50-year-old man that you are today, that I am today, is in many ways a lesser man than the young man that I used to be. Okay? But in many ways, a better man. Because when I was, 40, for instance, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have touched internet blood sports with a 10-foot pole. No fucking way. I would have stayed the fuck away from it because I would have thought to myself, why am I going to expose myself to ridicule? Why am I going to, do this thing? What would be the point? What would be the point of me exposing myself and potentially making a fool of myself? But as a 50-year-old man, I realized that, making a fool of myself is not important. It's not important because it doesn't really matter. Who am I supposed to impress? And nobody. The only person I'm trying to impress at this point is myself. And I improve myself, I impress myself by improving myself. By finding that which is weak in me and rubbing at it and pushing it until it's no longer a weakness, until it's a strength. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm trying to say? I love internet blood sports precisely because I'm not good at it and I have to work to improve. And every skirmish, whether successful or not, it's a chance for growth. Now, this is going to sound really stupid, what I'm saying, right? But think of it in these terms. See, you always have to be striving to get better. You always have to be self-consciously thinking, how does this make me a better man, a stronger man, a more effective man? Time is inevitable, and time will wear away at you. Sorry for the alliteration, but it's true. Time waits for no man, and time wears you down. And if you're like 20, you think, that's bullshit. I'm in my prime. Yeah, maybe you might be in your prime in some aspects. In other regards, you're barely even started. Okay, but the point is, I'm trying to make is that time wears away at you, and comfort is actually the worst thing, because when things are going well, when things are comfortable for you, that's when you just start, just sitting there, tossing back the beers, watching TV, eating too many potato chips and getting soft, getting weak, getting flabby. You stop growing. You stop improving yourself. You stop being better. And ultimately what I want to be is better. I want to be a better man. That's why I allow myself to make a fool of myself on internet blood sports. And that's why I'm going to do the matriarchy video again. Because it was a flaw of mine that I lost my shit. I got upset about what I was talking about. And because of this, I spurred out and did a video that I consider a crappy video. And I'm going to do it again, and this time I'm going to try to control myself and fulfill my definition of what it is to be a man, which is to be rational, to be in control of your emotions. I'm going to do the matriarchy video again, and maybe I'll spurg out again. And if I spurg out again, I'll do it again. And I'm going to do more internet blood sports, and if I spurg out there, fuck it, I'll spurg out there and try again and again and again. And that's what you have to do. And see, ultimately, that's the best that you can do, is figure out where you're fucking up and try again. And the next time you try not to fuck it up like you did the last time, or at least try not to fuck it up as big as you did the last time. I hope this was a better video than the last one. At least I'm trying to make it a better video than the last one.